friends, welcome to this video. It's true, I'm finally back with another TribeGen. And if you've stumbled upon this video without knowing what the TribeGen series is, TLDR, it's like a Wings of Fire AU. Today I have a new tribe for you, the third tribe of TribeGen Series 2. I think out of 4, so yeah, one more tribe in this one, just because I'm having a really good time designing them. Just to recap, on this continent, we've talked about 2 tribes so far. The first tribe was an air tribe, and the second tribe was a fire/volcano tribe. As you might have guessed by now, this tribe is a water tribe. No, I did not do that on purpose originally, but heck, I'm gonna run with it. Now, I'm not sure how much any of you remember because it's been a second, and honestly, I'm not really even sure how much I remember. So I'm gonna start with some more background information on the world than I normally would, because again, I need the refresher myself, and then I'll get into the tribe, its biology, and its culture, and then at the very end, if there's time, I can talk a little bit about the role they play in the current storyline. Okay, so from what I remember, we are on a new continent in the same world as the original TribeGen series. However, none of the tribes of this continent know any of the tribes on the other continent. So pretty much we have like a new story. And essentially at the crux of this story is a volcanic eruption, which may or may not have been caused by our main character, who I can't wait to introduce you to, by the way. Naturally, a volcanic eruption is hugely impactful to all of the tribes on this continent or like in the surrounding area. And so I think the main themes of this story are gonna be like, heck, this is the aftermath. We're tribes that usually don't get along, and now we're forced into not only closer proximity with each other, but also different ways of life. So, for example, this tribe, I called them ReefWings for now. Like, they live in the coral reefs. And I would think that if there was a volcanic eruption that had any amount of magma fall into the sea, their lives would be like completely upended for a while. So yeah, the air tribe also has to land, and like they never land. They're vulnerable now. I mean, the ReefWings, if they come out of the water, they're going to be vulnerable. So it's all this like upheaval basically. Basically, this environment is super like ripe for conflict, and that's what we make good stories out of. Okay, hopefully we all understand like kind of what's going on. I'm hoping to get more into the plot in later videos about specific characters, if we want character videos like I did in the last series. I mean, I might just do them anyway because I like them. But yeah, more of the story later. And now we'll talk about the ReefWings, because you don't even know them yet. So in the comments of my last video, when I was asking about what other types of tribes we think would go well in this story, a lot of people suggested a water tribe or like an ocean tribe. And I honestly resisted, okay? Because in TribeGen 1, we have the TribeWings, which are a water tribe. They're an ocean tribe. So at first I was really hesitant to do another water tribe, but then I'm not 100% sure like exactly how the idea came to me, but it was like in kind of like a Discord call session with some of my writer friends talking about completely different stories, like completely different vibe, not even dragons. And my brain was just like, oh, they are reef keepers. They are coral dragons, either made of coral or they depend on the coral for something, or they're coral farmers or something. And I'm like, okay, cool. I think that's different enough from TribeWings and their society and how they work that I'm open to doing another water tribe. Does it make me want them to meet at some point because they're gonna be similar but also really different at the same time? Yes, it does. Alright, so initially this tribe was going to be almost like made of coral, like almost like symbiotic with coral, if that makes sense. So Yay, we get to talk about corals and their biology. Okay, so corals are super cool. They're actually animals, even though they almost look and seem like plants. They are colonies of little creatures called polyps, or I actually don't know how to pronounce that, but also I don't really care. So anyway, these creatures produce a calcium carbonate shell that's like the hard structure of the coral, and a lot of them have actually symbiotic algae that like lives in their skin that will photosynthesize and provide them with nutrients, while the animal will like filter feed and take in nutrients from the water. Now that's pretty much the extent to which I know anything about corals. If any of you know more about them, please drop info in the comments below. Honestly, I feel like that's all you need to know to understand that corals are extremely cool. So obviously, it's very exciting to be able to draw a coral dragon. So anyway, I was thinking that the corals would grow on the dragons, which honestly, I think maybe once the dragons get old, this might happen. But I was testing out designs for like how the corals would like branch off of the dragon and everything, and I was also kind of just doodling the shape of the dragon, and like I kind of just fell in love with the sleek shape. I think their shape is actually, well, they're much sleeker looking than TribeWings are, and they're even sleeker than like the Stormwings, or aka the air dragons. Like I just really fell in love with the simplicity of that form, and I didn't want to add these like beautiful branching corals, even though they would be beautiful. It didn't fit with what I wanted to go for. However, I would not be surprised if they wore like coral jewelry, like living corals as jewelry in some cases. Like I feel like that would be really cool. Wow, I'm already getting ahead of myself. Anyway, I decided they would be mostly coral farmers, instead of like being sort of almost made of coral. So they'll still have a symbiotic relationship with the coral. Like I envision them tending the reefs, and I think that's such a beautiful like image in my mind. But it's not like the algae living inside the tissues of the polyp type symbiosis. So currently I'm thinking they farm the coral for two purposes, or like they tend the coral for two purposes. One is like they actually eat it, so they farm it to eat it. It makes sense. And for that reason, I gave these dragons a beak, because I was thinking of parrotfish, which actually eat coral and they have like a really powerful beak. So I think in addition to eating the coral, the tribe also very much eats like fish of the reef. Like they eat other members of the ecosystem, if that makes sense. So it's important for them to keep the reef healthy, because if the reef is not healthy, then the fish that come to feed on the reef are not going to be healthy, or there's going to be too few of them, etc. Additionally, I was thinking that unlike TribeWings, the ReefWings live pretty much exclusively underwater. Like, they have lungs, but they mostly use their gills, and they pretty much never need to surface. So with that in mind, I tried to make it so their wings seemed more adapted to swimming, like the fins of a like stingray or something. So they like flap their wings, but they use the wings in the water, not to fly. I also tried to make them relatively delicate looking, because they're always going to be buoyed by water, so they don't need to be strong enough to like resist gravity. So those were the main ideas I had about their biology. If you guys can think of anything interesting to add, please let me know. Now it's on to their society. So I always envision like coral reefs as these opulent, beautiful cities. I mean, they're so populous. They're architecturally astounding, and there's a lot of organisms that we know live in coral reefs and stuff. And in addition to that, you know, where there's a lot of different creatures, there's predation, there's, you know, territorialism or territorialness, competition for similar food sources. So honestly, and for no small part because I think these dragons are quite beautiful and I love envisioning them with like a bunch of coral jewelry and stuff, I think that their society is almost like the upper class nobility. I mean, they're used to their bountiful environment. They don't really have many predators. I mean, I envision them being at least bigger than a shark even, and they live in a group, like they live in a tribe, so apex reef predators wouldn't be able to touch them. So I don't know, I feel like that kind of brews this aristocratic lifestyle. So it kind of becomes more about social conflict, or at least about intricate social, like, traditions or hierarchies and stuff. Also, I mean, imagine a party in a coral reef, like a ball, like a masquerade ball underwater in a coral reef. I mean, come on, that's freaking awesome. So yeah, I envision them very much as like nobility, including the kind of jockeying for social clout or social power. And another big reason why I think this would be a good societal structure for them is because I just envision them like losing their home with the volcanic eruption, and like they haven't ever really had to fight for survival, and now they do. So it's like the downfall of their opulent lifestyle hits harder when it is opulent. Like I envision this gaggle of disheveled individuals crawling out of the water with like their wings and fin crests drooping, scales dulled, trappings of their society gone. It's a powerful image. And I also like the idea of a society that is very social climby, with a lot of infighting having to come together when the disaster strikes. So yeah, with that, it's time for the reveal. Okay, hi, I'm back. I hope you liked that. I hope you think the ReefWings are cool. However, as always, if you have any ideas to make them even cooler, or other ideas for the rest of the story, please let me know. It's super important to me that we do this pretty much together. I don't know, it just makes me so happy when I know people care enough about the story to have ideas for it, and to know the final product had like a group effort, you know? Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, your reward is knowing the plan for the next video. I'm actually gonna do another tutorial. Finally, this time on how to paint scales easily. Like, I just figured this out myself, so I felt like I really need to share it because it's freaking awesome and so much easier than my old method. I don't know. Anyway, let me know if you're looking forward to that. I hope you are having a good day or evening or middle of the night, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you around.